Welcome to Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. I'm your host, Vista Chamber CEO Rachel Beld, and it's my privilege to interview the movers, shakers, and change makers impacting the Vista community and beyond. Joining me today is Aaron Byzak, Chief External Affairs Officer at Tri-City Medical Center. Aaron oversees the medical center and the district's marketing, communications, government affairs, community engagement, patient transportation, and the kitchen sink. For more than 2 decades, Aaron has served in positions of progressive leadership in emergency medical services, health policy, healthcare management, and consulting. And he's received numerous best practice awards and national and regional recognitions for his leadership, his work in healthcare, public health, advocacy, and communications. So check out the show notes for a list of his impressive awards, including 4 Emmys. A well-known advocate in the areas of health policy, mental health reform, assisted living reform, and alcohol and drug prevention policy and practices, Aaron is passionately committed to helping those from at-risk backgrounds. He's a prolific mentor who prides himself on assisting others in achieving their dreams, and we're going to dig into that quite a bit in just a few minutes. Aaron's also the founder and chief advocate of Hazel's Army, a community advocacy education group that in 2014 helped pass the most comprehensive assisted living reform agenda in California's history. Hazel's Army's educational program, Great Gen 2.0, has worked with educators throughout Southern California to promote intergenerational education through engaging storytelling, and this program has impacted more than 7,000 students so far. Aaron lives in Vista with his family, and he serves on so many committees, commissions, and nonprofit boards. He's currently the chair of San Diego North Economic Development Council, and he serves on the board of the Vista Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Aaron.
Oh, thank you very much.
So glad you could be with me today.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. So I have to tell you, so I've interviewed quite a few folks. I always get a bio. I had to trim a lot from your bio because you have done a lot of things and you won a lot of awards. So I feel honored to be sitting with such a recognized celebrity.
I appreciate it. I pulled out most of the awards out of the bio. So, I'm really lucky in that I work in an area of healthcare, marketing, and communications, where there's a lot of awards that can be won. And just so happens we've won a lot of them in recent years. And so you have to kind of sideline those for a little bit because it's a little bit too much.
Yeah. Well, kudos for all of that. So, okay. So speaking of work, first I want to talk about Tri-City Medical Center. And I know, people know it's a hospital. You can go there to the emergency department if you break your leg. You can get a surgery. You can see your medical professional. But so many people don't know about the other things that Tri-City Medical Center is involved in. I'm talking specifically about the Coastal Commitment. So tell everybody, what is the Coastal Commitment and why is it important that Tri-City oversees this initiative?
Yeah, the Coastal Commitment's been around since 2019.
Okay.
And what it is, it's an acronym. It stands for Community Outreach and Support Through Active Leadership, with a major focus on the AL in coastal active leadership. And it's a reimagining of how we engage with our community. Our hospital was founded by this community, by the communities of Carlsbad, Oceanside, and Vista, including the chambers, back in the 1950s, because this area at that time was quite rural. And it didn't really have access to healthcare, and so they formed a healthcare district, and that eventually built the hospital in 1961. We've been operating since then. And we've always been very actively engaged in the community, and we support events and things like that. But when I came on in 2018, I thought, together with my team and with the CEO, Steve Dietlein, that we would sort of reimagine how we do that. And so what we decided to do was really focus on the health and social issues in our community that are most prevalent, that have the largest or disproportionate impact on people's health outcomes and life outcomes. And the way that we would do that is we would align with the Hospital Association's Community Health Needs Assessment. And this is something that's done every 3 years. We participate in it. I've been on that committee for many, many years. As a matter of fact, this afternoon, I'm having a meeting with them as well. And they just released their triennial every 3-year report. And that lays out with data, quantitative and qualitative data, what are the things that are impacting the people in our community? And so we thought, rather than us just, deciding based on our own opinions what we should focus on, we would lean on the data and say, these are the things that we focus on. And so what we decided to do was partner with agencies and nonprofit organizations in our district, Carlsbad, Oceanside, and Vista, to help them achieve their goals. And we would do it through financial support, which we had been doing, but we would also do it by being active leaders in those initiatives and getting really, really focused, because we feel strongly that each of us, innately or through nurture, has developed certain capabilities, and we might as well leverage those capabilities in support of the things that we're passionate about as well.
That's great. So I know that our partnership, the partnership with the Vista Chamber of Commerce and Tri-City, falls under your coastal commitment. But we also have another initiative we've partnered on, and that's SoCal. And so I wanted you to just talk about a little bit about SoCal. I mean, I know what it is, but I want to help spread the word about it. So tell us a little bit about SoCal and why it matters under the coastal commitment. Like, why does that connect?
So if you look at the social determinants of health, or the social issues that impact health outcomes, one of the big things that you find is economic mobility, economic empowerment, education, things like that. And so what we're also seeing is in our community, we have lots of businesses that have a hard time finding people to fill their jobs. We also see people going through college and in mid-career, transitioning out of careers. And you see this a lot in COVID and things like that, where people really don't have a one-stop shop of where to go to explore different careers in different emerging fields. And so at Tri-City, we had been thinking about that. And one of the benefits of being Tri-City is that we go a lot of different places and we see what different groups are working on. And some people work really well together, like you guys do with the chambers and the Setting North EDC. And then other people are really operating in silos. And so they had their own little projects going on. And so we knew that I was coming in as the chair of the Setting North EDC. And we knew that we had a challenge in recruiting people to come to our hospital. We have 260 job openings, at any given time. And we said, it would be really great if there was a one-stop shop website where people who are interested in different careers could go and learn about what that job entails and where they can go to school locally. And I think that's an important piece because, particularly when you're dealing with like diversity and things of that nature, is that it's very hard to recruit people to come to San Diego County and North San Diego County from other parts of the country because the cost of living is very, very high. And so our thought is try to recruit and retain people from the local community because they're already used to that, right? And so they could stay here, go to school here, work here, and build a family or build a life or build a career or a business here. And so we brought this concept to the partners, and all the partners were already working on things that were perfectly aligned with that. And so it was just a natural sort of growth out of that. And so now we have a website. It's socalworkforce.org, and you can go there and explore careers and emerging industries and learn about the pathway to get there. And we're growing it here pretty soon. We're going to have career day presentations ongoing and internships and hopefully paid for internships off of that on that website. So we're really excited about that project.
I'm super excited about it too. And I've really enjoyed working with you and the rest of our partners in creating the website and making the videos. And we've had a lot of fun putting it together. But what even more than fun and just anecdotal is that people are using it and businesses are excited about it. We've engaged with our school districts to utilize it as curriculum to show students what kinds of jobs could be here. So I'm excited. So thanks for your partnership on that and your leadership too.
Absolutely. I think the interesting thing about this project is that it's self-sustaining, right? We obviously had a grant to kind of start it up from Supervisor Desmond's office at the County of San Diego. Yeah, thank you, Jim Desmond, for that, to get it up and running, and that's really important. But the ability or the opportunity to participate in this is a value proposition for membership with the chambers, with the Setting North EDC. It allows people to outreach to communities that they maybe have never connected with before. And when I say people, I mean businesses, right, to talk about the careers that are out there. And it shows, I think it builds community. And so it will pay for itself over the long run, with obviously we love grants, that helps us build capabilities and things like that. But this is a different model. It's not something that's only taking money. It's actually producing money and helping self-sustain itself.
That's a win-win-win.
Right.
And I love the fact that, that Tri-City Medical Center, projects like this take, chambers, nonprofit organizations, we can get together and do great work, but it really takes that partnership of an industry leader to bring in their talent and their, the job openings that you have and the careers that are featured at the hospital, and to bring that in to add that extra layer of legitimacy to it, I think is really important.
Yeah, that was something actually that in my career of experience, because I've worked on a number of workforce development initiatives over the years at different jobs that I've been in, and obviously I'm very focused on helping people, particularly from at-risk communities, develop their careers. And one of the things that I always saw was that it's not difficult to get the schools to kind of talk to each other. It is a little bit more difficult to get the K through 12 and the colleges and the
Yes.
independents and the publics to all talk to each other and get on the same page. It's not difficult to get the chambers to talk to each other. Around here, you guys get along really, really well, which is really good. That's not always the case in other places. But I feel what's been missing is a major industry leader, behind it that's saying, hey, this is something that we buy into, that we're on the ground floor of. And because without that, it's hard to get businesses to jump on. And, they're always looking at what's the return on investment.
And they need a proof of concept.
Right. They need a proof of concept. And so we thought that we would play that role, and this would be an important initiative for us under the Coastal Commitment.
Yeah. Great. Awesome. Okay. So I want to shift a little bit and talk about you specifically.
Okay.
And not just your work, but also just you. So just really briefly, tell me how you ended up Chief External Affairs Officer. I know that it's a long story, I'm sure, and there's a lot of left turns and right turns along the way. But just for people listening who are like, that job sounds super cool. How'd you get here?
Well, I was born at Tri-City.
Okay.
So I was born at the hospital that I work at. I grew up in this area. I lived in all three cities at different points in my childhood. Childhood was a little bit difficult in a lot of ways because there is a lot of drug and alcohol issues in my family. And so I lived with my parents sometimes. I lived with one or the other. I lived with my grandparents. And so we shifted around a lot. I was always, as a kid, fairly capable as it came to academics. I would get good grades on tests, but then I would never do my homework. And the reason why is because I lived in a meth house, and I slept on the floor and I didn't have a place to do my homework. And so, college and career wasn't something that was discussed in my house. And so, early on in my adult life, I became an emergency medical technician, was working on ambulances, and was planning to be a firefighter paramedic for my life. And I had a couple things happen. I had heart surgery when I was 22 for the first time. I had a congenital heart defect that had not been found as a kid, even though I was symptomatic. I had a mom who had gotten clean and sober, but was dealing with cancer, and a grandfather in the VA system, and a sister at community clinics. And I was helping them navigate it. And I saw a lot of inconsistencies in the way healthcare was delivered and the way health policy is written. And so it's not the natural progression of be an EMT, go work in health policy. I mean, there's no book on how to do that.
Right.
And so I got very interested in that topic, and I created a plan for myself of how to go from being a non-influential EMT to an influential leader in healthcare and healthcare policy and management. And it was, really, it was like get formal education and professional experience in different areas of healthcare. And that was politics and policy. So I worked for elected officials for a year. I interned and got jobs with elected officials and did my undergrad in social sciences, and then go work for hospitals. And so I got an MBA in healthcare management and policy and went to work for hospitals. I worked at Tri-City in my same department years ago, left, kind of moved my way up, went to UC San Diego Health Sciences, was there for about 8 years, got laid off in 2017, was a consultant full-time for about a year. And then the job opened up at Tri-City. And the job at Tri-City was a perfect opportunity for me. And it was really the culmination of all these years of experiences and building skill sets. Because I really look at building your career kind of like working out. You have to work out all your muscles, right? You can't just do upper body and not legs, right? Because then you end up looking all weird, right? And so I've been trying to work on all those muscle groups, metaphorically speaking, over the course of my career. And the great thing about Tri-City is it allowed me to kind of put them all together. So I'm not just doing government affairs. I'm not just doing marketing or communications, but doing them all together. And it made sense for me to go to Tri-City because it's my house. I mean, I look at it and I say, that's part of my home, is that I was born there. My aunt was a nurse there. My grandfather was on the foundation board there. I went there many times because I played sports as a kid, and I was always in the ER there. And I delivered patients to their ER in an ambulance for many years. So I probably knew more about Tri-City than any other place. And I make my home with my family in Vista, and I support North County. And I thought, you know what, this is the place. If there's some place that you're going to bring what skills you might have, this is the place to go.
Yeah. It's a total full circle situation. It must be really rewarding and fulfilling to give back to your community in this role, considering all of everything you just said.
Yeah, I think the good thing is that it gives me an opportunity to do professionally what I would do for free if I was independently wealthy.
Okay, wait, stop. I want to reiterate that, because that's really where I think most people want to get, is that the work that you're doing, you love so much that you would do it for free, but you get paid to do it.
Right.
That's the dream.
Right.
That's the dream. Like doing what you love and being paid for it often doesn't happen for people. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool place to be. It takes a long time to get to that point.
Yeah.
And you have to be really strategic about it and really lucky in some cases as well. But I think that is the ultimate goal. And the thing that I like is, I like the idea that I get to go out and help people who come from challenging backgrounds realize their goals.
Yeah.
I get to work with people who are doing the same thing and direct Tri-City energy and funding towards those things, while also telling people about the amazing quality of care that we have at the hospital, because I don't want people driving past us to go get care. I want them to know that the care here is excellent, that I bring my family to Tri-City all the time, and I have brought my family for years, and I want them to know that, because I want them to be able to receive the care that in many cases I didn't receive when I was a little kid. A lot of that is family issues, but it's also health policy. I mean, it's how Medi-Cal reimburses, and all these things that I realized when I was younger that, wow, I got pretty lucky that I ended up working as in EMS, and this issue with my heart was found. And then I started looking back and saying, wow, Medi-Cal really disincentivized in the way it pays for healthcare. It disincentivized people digging deeper and finding what was wrong with me. We need to fix those problems. And this also gets into things that I did with like Hazel's Army, where, you work on assisted living reform. I was very connected to my grandparents and my grandparents' generation. I had a tremendous amount of respect and placed a lot of value in what they had done for this country. And early in my career on an ambulance, I saw a lot of people essentially being warehoused in assisted living and skilled nursing facilities. And many places are beautiful and they do a great job, but then other places, had a lot of challenges. And ultimately, I had an opportunity to go and influence that and make changes to those policies, particularly as it relates to assisted living, because I think that how we treat the most fragile among us is a indication of who we are as a society.
100% agree.
Right.
100% agree. I want to jump back. I want to touch on something you mentioned a minute ago about just kind of the situation around your family growing up and alcohol and drug addiction. Why do you think, like, if you lined up 10 people who grew up in the same kind of situation, what's the difference between those that are chief medical or chief external affairs officers and those who are in jail? Like, what do you think is the difference between people who take those experiences and achieve, and those who take those experiences and it breaks them?
That's a question that I grapple with frequently, because I get asked that question. And I don't know if I have a great answer. I think that it's a confluence of things, right? It's multiple variables here, right? One of them is, I think, just sort of some level of intelligence, just having that, I think. The other piece of it is having sort of a natural moral compass, where even as a kid, and you're in bad situations where you often don't get to choose between right and wrong, but bad and worse, right? But knowing that there's sort of a universal right and wrong, and that you should lean towards the right, and move away from the wrong. Having my grandparents, as an alternate sort of model to look at, because how I felt growing up in my house versus how I felt when I stayed with my grandparents was night and day. And I sort of gravitated towards order and structure. And my grandfather was a United States Marine for many years, and he had been a prisoner of war in World War II for 3.5 years. And so you want to talk about orderly, this dude and his wife were orderly. And so I slept in a bed when I went to their house. I didn't sleep in a bed when I was at my home. And so I think you look at all those things. My family jokes that I was born a grandpa. So I was like born with a grandfather's sense of the world. And I remember being 8 years old and saying things to my mom, saying, this doesn't make any sense. Why are you guys making these choices? If you make that choice, the lights get turned off and we get kicked out of this place. But if you make a different choice, maybe the opposite would be the result. Yeah. And so I think it's all those things together. And I'm really lucky at some point that I grew a lot because I grew 9 inches in 2 years. And all of a sudden I was like a man. Mm-hmm. And and I'm not saying man versus woman, but like an adult, like a young adult. And I could at some point just say, no, we're not doing it the way you were doing it before. We're doing it a different way. And I'm in charge now. And these are the rules. And this is how it's going to work. And so I think that you look at all those things together, it helps. I do a lot of career planning work. I do it at Operation Hope at the homeless shelter. I do it for people who are professionals and students and all these different things. And I think that a lot of people who experience intense trauma when they're kids, they have a hard time breaking out of that trauma. And I didn't internalize the trauma when I was a kid. I didn't think that it was because of me or that I did something wrong. I was like, these people are stupid. The people around me are making bad choices. Yeah. And so I think that helped me a lot in kind of giving me a more solid foundation. And the other thing is that I chose when I was 11 years old to never touch drugs and alcohol. Because at the time, DARE was a big thing, drug abuse resistance education. Yep. And they were just starting to talk in those days about the genetics of addiction. And so in my little 11-year-old brain, I was listening to it, and then I'd go home and it was an open thing at my house. It'd be like meth on the table and a mirror and, stuff like that. And no food, but plenty of meth. And I just said to myself one day, I said, okay, if there's any truth to this genetic thing, then the only way as the son of people who are addicted that I will never become addicted is to never let it enter my system. Mm-hmm. And if I do that, then I'm guaranteed
you won't be an addict.
To never have that problem.
Right.
And so I turned it off at 11 years old. I said, I won't do that. And that's why I got involved with North Coastal Prevention Coalition when I was in my 20s to really help other kids that were like me make a similar choice.
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
For more than 60 years, Tri-City Medical Center has been committed to advancing the health and wellness of the community we serve. With leading-edge emergency care, including top-rated heart and stroke programs, advanced orthopedics, primary care, obstetrics, and neonatal care, Tri-City stands at the ready when you need us most. Learn more at tricitymed.org.
Hi, it's Carrie from Solitude Home in Vista, California. If you're looking for ways to brighten and cool your home, we are your natural light and fresh air experts. We offer a selection of daylighting and ventilation products to help make your home beautiful and comfortable. And the best part of all is you won't be using any electricity to brighten up. We can bring beautiful, natural light into those dark spaces in your home, transforming them into beautifully lit spaces in less than 2 hours. No mess, no fuss, just amazing natural light to make your home look and feel great. If you're looking to cool off your home, we have a complete line of ventilation products to keep your home and garage cool. We want to make cooling and refreshing your home easier and more energy efficient than ever with our line of whole house fans, solar attic fans, and garage fans. Our certified installers carry the full line of Solitude daylighting and ventilation products on their vans at all times. Installation can usually be done in about 2 hours. No messy drywall, paint repair, structural changes, or re-roofing needed. It's pretty much the easiest home improvement project you'll ever take on. At Solitude Home, we offer no obligation appointments throughout Southern California. Visit our website at solitubehome.com or stop by our showroom conveniently located in Vista at 2210 Oak Ridge Drive, or give us a call, 619-375-1629. We look forward to brightening your day.
At J&R Auto Body and Paint, you don't have to worry about a thing. From minor dents and dings to major collision repair, we offer a worry, hassle-free experience with superior customer service. Our auto claim advisors work directly with your insurance company, so you don't have to deal with the headaches. Our certified technicians work on all makes and models to get your repair done right the first time. We stand behind our work with a lifetime warranty. Locally and family owned, J&R Auto Body is here to serve the community. Call us today at 760-724-4923.
You know, you kind of alluded to it a little bit when you're talking about your grandparents, but I think mentorship is such an important factor in changing the trajectory of someone's life, is mentorship. And I know you are, like I said in the bio, you're very involved in mentorship. And so tell me a little bit about, I know you mentor a lot of people. Tell me about mentorship and about the strategic career planning help that you do. Tell me a little bit about mentorship and why is it so important to you to mentor people?
I've had really great mentors over the years, like my grandfather and some other people, and I've had some really not so great mentors. And I think that people serve in official mentoring capacities. They serve in unofficial ones. Many mentors don't even know they're your mentor, right? Because you're just kind of absorbing what they're doing, good and bad sometimes. So my relationship with my grandfather initially, he was sort of my first mentor. It taught me that, okay, you benefit tremendously from having people who have already been there and done that, sharing their experiences. I've always sort of adopted the philosophy of smart people learn from their mistakes and brilliant people learn from other people's mistakes. And so why make those mistakes if you don't need to, right? If you hear it and you see a pattern, just don't do that. Right? Don't be the one saying, well, I know the 1,000 people that went before me fell off the cliff, but I'll be the one that makes it. Yeah, I'm not really a believer in that. Maybe it's because I'm slightly risk averse. But so as I got older, and as I maybe gained a little bit of, I don't know if I'd call it prominence, but just people were aware of what I was doing and the work that I was doing, I would have people come to me and ask me to give them advice and stuff like that. And I was trying to avoid giving them direct advice, but rather helping them figure out what it is that they were going to do. It's based on their experiences and their decisions. Because if you tell somebody what to do and they do it and it doesn't work out, they blame you for it.
True.
Right? I'd rather them think through it themselves and learn how to think, not what to think, and move forward. And so, I've been involved with, formal and informal mentoring programs over the years, and strategic career planning kind of came about strangely. So I had created strategic career planning for myself when I was 24 years old, and it's like 10 steps of what I was going to do. The first 5 were sort of introspective of looking at where I came from and what's motivating me. And then you create, professional, educational, personal goals. And then the second 5 steps are just executing them, right? And how do you do it with what I call ferocious execution, like a high ferocity to what you're doing. Like you go for it and you go until you win.
You're all in.
You're all in, right? Yeah. The 110% that people, joke about, right? So when I was back in 2011, I had met with a gentleman at a networking event named Terry Schmidt, Dr. Terry Schmidt, and he's a professor at a number of universities in Southern California. And I met him, and I was working at UC San Diego Health at the time, and he was a gregarious man. He said, "What do you do for a living?" And I said, "Well, I'm the head of government affairs at UC San Diego Health Sciences." And he goes, "You're a lobbyist." I was like, "Shh." Like, dude, don't use the L word. Like, we don't talk about that anymore, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, "I used to be a lobbyist." I said, "Really? Who'd you lobby for?" And he told me the names of these huge organizations. I mean, high-level lobbying. I said, "Wow, that's impressive." He said, people who become lobbyists typically have some interesting paths to get there. And he said, "What's your path?" And I told him kind of what I just told you. And he said, "You made a plan and you had," I said, "Yeah, I did. I'd figured, map it out." He said, "Could you teach other people how to do it?" I said, "I don't know, maybe. I never thought about it." He said, "I'll give you an hour in my class with graduate students. Come in, teach your method." I said, "Great." Went and taught the method. It was extremely popular. I called it Strategic Career Planning, the 10-step guide to realizing your potential. And then he invited me back, 2 hours here, 2 hours there. And pretty soon I had an 8-hour training program with a workbook and all these things. And I started to kind of farm it out because I saw people having a really positive impact in their lives if they were doing this, the same thing that I had done. And so I've done it for like a lot of people. I mean, I'm probably approaching 4,000 people now that have gone through it. And I try to do it in small groups or individually. So 4,000 is a whole lot when you do it in small groups or individually. And I've branched it out to make sure that it is accessible for people who are really having a challenging situation, like formerly incarcerated or people who are in homeless shelters. Many of those people are kind of stuck in the Maslow's hierarchy of need situation. It's like safety, shelter, food, things like that. And they have a hard time really thinking about, well, what am I going to do professionally, and what are my educational goals? And so you have to meet them where they're at. And so I've created kind of a step down version of it called 3 Strides Forward. And it's like, how do you create momentum, get unstuck from the muck and create momentum to where then you can do career planning. And so I do that a lot, and I really enjoy it. And
what age group is this for?
Oh my goodness, I've done it for everybody. So
okay.
I've done it. Yeah, I mean, the youngest is high school students.
Yeah.
I mean, I did it for the NAACP Youth Leadership Council locally, and they really enjoyed it. And those kids are rock stars. I mean, like absolute rock stars who probably didn't need my program, but it did help them, And I've done it all the way up to people who are, I've had people in classes who were in their 60s and were sort of towards the tail end of their career and maybe had not yet achieved executive level, and they said, what do I need to do to get over the hump to get to this point? And everyone in between. So I think that, people in college are probably a good age group, and people who are mid-career and looking to transition.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think there's a SoCal tie-in here somewhere.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Having an idea while I'm sitting here. That's great. Okay. So we were talking a little bit ago about all the awards that you won, and I know you're very modest and you're like, oh yeah, no big deal. But I do want to highlight that you were recently chosen to be inducted into the Carlsbad Hall of Fame.
Carlsbad High School Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Carlsbad High School Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So that's you went there. You graduated from Carlsbad High.
I did. I barely graduated from Carlsbad High.
So considering that you barely graduated, that's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, I kind of joked online that I'm really glad that they didn't look at high school transcripts and disciplinary records and attendance records when they made that decision.
Well, maybe they did, and that the delta is what sealed the deal for you.
Yeah, maybe that pushed me over the top. It's first of all, I didn't know that existed until just recently,
right?
But I never would have contemplated while I was in high school that was even a remote possibility. Because as clear as I am today, it was not clear then. I think, I went back one time and I realized I missed like 45 days of school my freshman year of high school.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I was suspended multiple times, and for fighting, and
that's
I know
9 weeks.
I know
of school.
That's not surprising, the fighting thing, I'm sure, but yeah, I was suspended multiple times when I was younger and stuff like that, and and when I tried, and halfway through my junior year, I had something really traumatic happen in our life. My mom's live-in boyfriend died of AIDS when I was 16, like halfway through my junior year, actually right about this time. And after that happened, the next semester, I honestly stopped going home. After work, I went to work after school, and I went to the library and I did homework. And it's amazing what kind of grades you get when you do homework. You can get A's on tests, and then you average them with A's on your homework, and all of a sudden you have A's. So I went from like a 2.0 to a 4.0. And when you average it out, you have just enough to get into school or something afterwards. But I was unclear about where to go. So, fast forwarding 25 or however many years it's been, 27 years, to be inducted into the Carlsbad High School Hall of Fame. And they, I think I'm the 43rd or 42nd person to be inducted, and the school's been open 65 years. So that's pretty cool.
It's a big honor.
Yeah. So I know
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's happening Saturday.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's happening Saturday. So I think I get a clock or something that's like engraved with it. So it's pretty cool. It's a different type of award.
Yeah, that's a culmination of lots of things.
Right.
That's awesome. Okay, so I want to jump back to Tri-City because I know you had a big event on October 17th. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so we have obviously been working on this project for a number of years, and we've prided ourselves on being a behavioral health leader for a long time, and sort of hit a bump in the road in 2018. We had to suspend operations of our behavioral health unit at the hospital because of a facility issue. and changes in regulations at the federal level. And there was, quite a kerfuffle locally over that. And it happened right after I went to Tri-City. So that was kind of my coming out party, at Tri-City.
Trial by fire.
Trial by fire,
Yeah.
And so I did a lot of presentations and whatnot. And, over the course of the next year and a half, we hammered out a deal in a partnership with the County of San Diego to build a new facility on our campus, and that's what we just opened. So we didn't open it; we broke ground for it, and so this is several years in the making. It's a 16-bed, what they call a psychiatric health facility or PUF, and so it's for inpatients. So it's a place for a person who's suffering from a mental health challenge to come and recover after they've been stabilized at one of the local crisis stabilization units. We anticipate people staying there 5 to 7 days usually. But it's a standalone facility. It's in the westernmost part of our campus in Oceanside. And it's going to be an amazing resource for our community. And we're really proud of it. So we just broke ground on October 17th with the county partners and folks from Tri-City there in attendance. And also many of our community partners, particularly from the Coastal Commitment.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I know that's been a long time coming, and a lot of people, like you said, a lot of folks are going to be there because a lot of hands went into making it happen.
That is absolutely the case. I mean,
Yeah.
People, I know somebody had said, congratulations, Aaron, on this thing. It's like, no. It's not congratulations, Aaron. It's congratulations. Hundreds and hundreds of people who worked on this idea. It has started as a concept, as does everything, right? It starts as a concept. You bring the right people to the table. You work out a deal that will be sustainable over the long run. I think that's key in this relationship, is that Tri-City's 50% partner in the cost of the building, but that we get, we're actually receiving cost-based reimbursement. So we won't lose money.
That's a big deal.
We won't lose money over the long run. And that allows it to be sustainable and allows us to be here and continue to provide that service for many years to come for our community, particularly the people who are most at risk.
Yeah, that's great. As I'm sitting here listening, I'm just the word collaboration just keeps running through my mind, because almost I think everything we've talked about so far in this conversation has revolved around this theme of collaboration and how when we all work together, we can get things done. Like the hospital isn't just focused on, treating people when they're sick. There's the Coastal Commitment and the collaboration with all these other organizations and agencies that's helping to better people's lives so they don't get sick and they don't make these choices. And then all of the collaboration around SoCal and the collaboration around bringing this facility together, and even the collaboration that went into you growing up and the people involved. So I don't know. I'm just kind of soaking in this idea of we really never do anything totally alone.
Right. And my approach to these things, and I mean, this is, it's not anything particularly unique. It's things that people have done for many, many generations. It's how people build the long-lasting issues or long-lasting structures in our community and stuff like that. It came from my grandfather. I was a little kid riding along with my grandfather, and he drove an Oldsmobile, right? It was like this beige Oldsmobile with beige interior.
It was probably huge.
Yeah, it is like there's never been a more bland vehicle made, right? And on the front seat in between us, there was a typed out list on a typewriter, single space, all these projects he was working on in the community. And I said, Grandpa, how can you work on all those things at the same time? He said, you know what you do is you go to the front lines and you talk to people and you find out what's actually going on. And you find out what they want and what they need. And sometimes those are two different things. And then what you do is you get real creative and you come up with a vision for helping them meet those wants and needs. Then you surround yourself with really good, talented people who are bought into that vision. And then you let them do their job. You lead side by side. And if you have to, you work until the goal is achieved. And I don't care if you have to dig a ditch or do whatever it is. You go until you achieve the goal. And so that's sort of been my leadership philosophy. It's what I've done in my career. I really credit it with a lot of the stuff that I've been able to accomplish, in collaboration with many, many, many other people. I mean, everything that you read there took thousands of people involved to do. And so, I think that collaboration is key for anything. And we need to move away from sort of our tribal approach to things and be much more collaborative if we want to achieve the goals that our society needs.
That's great. I love it. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you have in your mind that you think, I really got to tell Rachel about XYZ? It could be about yourself, about Tri-City, anything you want people to know that we haven't covered.
Well, we have a number of other projects that are going on at Tri-City
So many.
that I think are really exciting. One of them is that we are remodeling the emergency room at the hospital, and that is a long time coming. I mean, if you've been in the ER, you know it's well used, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we received funding from the David C. Copley Foundation, and a number of other foundations, the Conrad Prebys Foundation and the Tri-City Hospital Foundation. And we're going to hopefully in the next couple of months really get started on the first half of it. You know, you have to do half at a time in an ER. You got to have some place to treat patients. And so we're going to do the front half of the ER, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be sort of themed around the Oceanside Pier. Because we recently remodeled our hospital a bit and we renamed our towers after the 3 cities that we serve. And this particular section of the hospital juts out from the Oceanside Pavilion. So we thought, name it the Pier. And so, you know, I'm thinking like, I love acronyms. So I'm like partnership and emergency recovery or something like that.
You do love an acronym.
I do love a good acronym.
You really do.
I do, yeah. And so we're working on that. We're also installing a new 3T MRI, which will be the most innovative in North County, and that will help us diagnose conditions better and help people receive definitive care. And we have a number of other projects that are in the hopper. I can't talk about just yet, but there's some exciting stuff going on. And I think that when people come to Tri-City, they will see a different look and a different feel at the hospital coming pretty soon. And I think that's a good thing.
That's great. So if somebody wants to know more about all the work that you're doing, do you have a newsletter? Can they sign up somewhere?
Yes, we have a newsletter called Community Connections. You can go to tricitymed.org. That's our main website. If you want to learn more about what we're doing with the Coastal Command, it's tricitymed.org/community.
Okay.
And obviously go to the socalworkforce.org website. That's a great one for all of our partnerships here, working around workforce development. Those are great resources for everyone in the community.
Great. I'll put all those in the show notes. So that's great. Okay. So at the end of every interview, ask a couple of rapid fire questions. So get ready. Here they come. Okay. So tell me a book you think everyone should read or one that you recommend.
It's funny because I have a hard time saying that I read books anymore because I just listen to books being read to me.
Listen, it's the same. It's the same.
Yeah, I don't. If I open up a book, I instantly fall asleep.
When you're that busy, it's like it's hard to. You got to get some sleep.
I would say the most influential book that I've ever read is Team of Rivals: The Political Genius of Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
And it's a huge book. It's like 900 pages. So you better buckle up if you're going to read this book.
Okay.
You know? But it goes into depth of how Abraham Lincoln built his cabinet around him and was, fighting the Civil War of arguably, the most important, disagreement we've ever had in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, for anyone who's a manager or a leader or a politician or whatever it may be, it's a great book that kind of dives into his thought process around it and who he put at the table. And so I think that's a great book.
Great. Okay. Next, tell me a song. You love it. You always turn it up. You got to rock out. I know it's a hard one because music is so important to people, but I want to know what's on your playlist.
The sad part is I listen to the same music I did when I was 16.
Don't we all?
I don't know. It's if you played a new song, I wouldn't even know what the heck it is.
So I think we're the same age. So I'm like, yes. Probably whatever you're going to say, I'm probably going to enjoy it as well.
I mean, if I had to choose one song, it sounds sad, but it's like Master of Puppets from Metallica.
Okay.
I listen to Metallica, but I also listen to rap. I listen to all these things. My wife and I always have the discussion of if you're stuck on a desert island, what albums would you bring with you? I mean, if I had to choose that, it would probably be the Eagles' greatest hits, just because I want to calm down if I'm stuck on a desert island. Mm-hmm. But I love me some Masters of Puppets.
Okay. That's a good one. Okay, tell me something that inspires you.
Probably my kids.
Yeah.
My kiddos, they have some challenges. My kids were born with albinism. Mm-hmm. My wife and I carry an autosomal recessive gene, and so my kids are albino. They have albinism, and they have actually oculocutaneous albinism type 4. There's 7 major types. They have type 4, which is fairly rare. But they're visually impaired. I mean, they're legally blind, both of them. And when my son was first born and this was diagnosed, you think, like, what are we going to do here?
Right.
The first thing I thought of when I was told, because I was really told my son was completely blind. The first thing I thought of is, oh my God, my son's never gonna be able to play baseball. And it's a weird thought to have immediately, but it was the first thing that popped into my mind. But you know what? Both those kids play baseball.
Heck yeah.
And I coach them in a league for kids with disabilities, or really what I say is different abilities,
Yeah.
And they have special needs, but you can meet those needs. And, I try to coach them the way I would coach any baseball team. I yell, run, hit the ball hard, and stuff like that. And I see them succeeding. And my son also has autism, and so, he has other unique challenges that he's dealing with. And so, but I see him overcoming them all the time. So that's inspirational. I know that you and I have talked. My son's opening up a business. He's sort of a junior entrepreneur, and we helped him. We gave him a loan actually for him to buy vending machines, like three-turn vending machines, because he's very engineering minded. He loves vending machines, locks, keys, things like that. And so he's starting Adam's Candy Company. And he's gonna become sort of a junior entrepreneur member of the chamber, and that's coming pretty soon. And so I look at those things and I just think that's inspirational. And if my kids can do it, and all the people that we interact with on a regular basis can overcome challenges in their life, then anyone can do it.
Yeah. And your kids are a delight.
Yes, they are.
I enjoy them.
They are.
They're great.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Tell me a Vista business that you think deserves a shout out.
Other than Adam's Candy Company, which is coming soon.
Yeah.
Opening soon. That's a hard one. We try to patronize Vista businesses as much as possible, particularly the small businesses. I would think, one of the places I love going to the Vista Village Pub.
Yeah.
Or Vista Village Grill. I can't remember the pub. I just think they have good food, and it's a good place to meet people. I know you guys have met there in the past.
Yeah.
And whenever I try to meet with somebody and want to go somewhere central, I go there. But there's great restaurants, there's great businesses. Tri-City Primary Care is in Vista. We have all kinds of we have physical therapy. We have all kinds of things in Vista. So Vista is a great place. And it's funny, when we were deciding to buy a house, we thought Vista was the place that we wanted to go. And my grandparents lived in Vista when I was a kid, so I spent a lot of time here. And, I remember going with my grandfather to the Vista post office on Postal Way almost every other day with him. And now my house is on the hill, looks down on that post office.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
So, Vista is a great place. I always tell people in San Diego, because I'm always trying to recruit people to come to Vista, I tell them it's the La Mesa of North County.
Okay.
Because it's like formerly sort of an older community, now the youngest community, because people could afford to buy homes here and things like that. A lot of exciting stuff going on there, very hilly, about the same distance from the ocean.
Okay.
And so I kind of frame it for them, because most people don't know Vista or down in San Diego. I say, think La Mesa in North County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I've been to La Mesa very briefly. So now that's making me want to go check out La Mesa.
You should check it out.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you to my guest, Aaron Byzak, and thank you for listening to Velocity. If you like what you heard, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and tell a friend. Help us move Vista forward with Velocity. The Vista Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit organization that serves as a catalyst for business growth. Visit us online at vistachamber.org.